Hello, animals. It is me, Eisen. This was a piece that fell off the aloe vera when my dad decided to leave it in the rain for a bunch of days. This part had a certain part of bulb on it that proliferated, and I don't know if it's still technically alive, but it's doing something for itself, and sometimes that is the only thing a plant can do. Squeak creatures. So today I'm talking about how I am freaking such a drunk. Really. This is the second week in a row where I have blacked out and lost my freaking glasses. People keep telling me that they like my new glasses. These are from grade 7. These are the first pair of glasses I ever got because my last ones that I was wearing were ones that I just never frickin' wore, because I had a better pair that, could go through anything. I've never broken a pair of glasses, and those last frickin' ones, they're the stupid frameless ones where it's just a lens and then they glue some frickin' parts onto it. It is the stupidest BS ever frickin' made. The third time I broke those things, when I was going through stuff in the basement, blackout drunk, all I remember is them being in my hand, broken again, in the same spot that I had to glue together with nail glue. I left them on a shelf somewhere. That's the last memory I have of them. Yesterday I looked in the basement and I saw that there was just a leg or arm or whatever of it down there. That is all that's left of that pair of glasses, and they were the same prescription as my main ones, which, according to Chase, they might be in my room. So today I'm gonna get rid of some stuff. Sometimes I get a little paranoid that people are gonna go through my stuff, because sometimes they actually do. Many years ago, I had two vapes, and I hid them both in where I used to put my toques inside of a toque, and then I could not find my vapes for a month or so. Yeah, they were in there just because I figured somebody would either go through my room or freaking rob me or whatever. Yeah, I tried to dye my hair like this chick that I was gonna make myself look like for my ex before I freaking broke up with him, because I think she looks a lot better than me to most people. But to my current boyfriend, I look better than everyone, which is really convenient and really cool. I want to hold on to that relationship. He's a great creature. That's just what I want to do with my life. Every time I get drunk, I'm like, I want to be with you. I want to be with you. And he's like, you're already with me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm saying I want to be with you for a longer time. Yeah, and I also broke this razor. Every other day I leave it in the freaking shaving cup for too long, and then I was shaving my legs one time because we had to go to the pool, and so I'm just going completely at it, right over my freaking floor, because I forgot how long it takes to shave my legs. I have to. I'm a detransition woman. I transitioned to a trans guy 7 years ago, and so I continue to just look like a man, and I have all the freaking body hair you could ever freaking imagine. I have to shave my face every damn day. And I used to know of this one channel, this detransition chick. She was German or something. She was called the Ugly Duckling. And I have not been able to find her channel since. I don't know what the hell happened to her, but she used to be quite a drunk and always was making videos drunk and whatnot. I really miss her freaking channel. She reminded me of Amelia Fart, but far less whimsical. I really like Amelia Fart. Honestly, like, I'm not in love with a lot of chicks, but I was in love with Amelia Fart. She lives on the opposite side of the freaking country. She's in Ontario or Quebec or something, so I would likely never meet her, but, many years ago when I used to watch her channel a lot, when she used to be an active YouTuber, I was really into Amelia Fart. I thought she was, sweet and honest, and that was a point in time when I was a mentally ill creature in my life, and that was part of my identity and whatnot. Gee, I wonder why I transitioned. Yeah, she would talk about things like that. She had it far worse than I did, which is generally the type of people I bring into my life. Speaking of crazy people, Tim fricking blocked me on Facebook because I had this dream that we were hanging out and whatnot. We were texting a couple nights ago. The second I posted a picture of Chase with blood on my guitar lele into a group chat that Tim had just put a basketball emoji in or some shit, and then he just immediately left the group chat, and then apparently he blocked me. I don't know, man. I think that's pretty rude. He has a extremely fair weather friend stance toward me. I can't remember if I shave the opposite way, but I always have to do this. It doesn't look right unless I do this. The original reason why I shave both ways on my face is because Tim would complain that my facial hair would scratch him, and he's like, you need to wax it, you're not doing good enough. And I'm like, you kidding me, man? Like, it's not my fault I grow better facial hair than you. Prevents a little more of a 5 o'clock shadow, and it prevents the feeling of that. But Chase actually doesn't mind it. He likes the scratch of my facial hair on him for whatever reason. I'm into a lot of weird stuff too, but all of a sudden when other people do it, I feel weirdly judgmental of it because other people in my life have always been judgmental against freaking everything. It's like, oh, you like that? That's not normal. If I like something, oftentimes my type is way too freaking unique. Like, you can put me in a room of 1,000 people and we can compare our types and no one will have the same one as me. No one's gonna be like drunks, am I right? 5'4" autistic men, am I right? I have all these pictures that I really like of Chase where he's holding alcohol and he looks a little pissed off. And he never is pissed off. He's always in a good freaking mood. But those are the pictures I like most of all. There's no chick that's like, oh, show me a picture of you with a beer in your hand looking really pissed off. People don't do this. People don't do this ever. But all of a sudden when somebody else is liking something weird, like a freaking detransition woman, I'm just like, yeah, but that's not great because I don't look good to everyone, so I have to try harder. Freaking all the time I have to try harder to look good. But the reason I didn't think that I was detrans is because you hear about freaking all of them having gotten sexually assaulted. Every single last freaking one of them. And that never happened to me. That didn't happen to me at any freaking point until December or January, but that's when it freaking happened. And when that happened, that was not even that traumatic. It's just like, yeah, me and the freaking prostitute were gonna bang, and then the prostitute decides to freaking just do some stuff that, hurts me a lot. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, it hurt like hell. It was probably, the worst pain a person has ever caused me in my entire life. And, I bled a lot, but, I was fine 2 days later, and, I wanted to beat the crap out of them for that. Everybody would have known I was in the right if I did that because you just don't hurt somebody there. I don't know why you would think to do that. It, it it baffles me. I mean, he was my friend. I love that guy, but he did that to me, and that's another reason that he doesn't want to freaking talk to me because I call him out on that he did that, and it's like, dude, you did that. You have to live with that. I mean, people make jokes about things that I do wrongfully when I'm drunk, and I have to live with that because I did that. You can't exactly piss yourself about it every time. You just maybe don't do that. I don't know, and this is a thing that is genuinely a very illegal thing. You can't sexually assault somebody under the law. You are not allowed to do that. It's whatever. I'm not freaking reporting it. It happened 6 months ago. I don't care. Like it was not traumatic to me. Yes, it completely changed how I saw that freaking guy. But it's not, the biggest thing that has ever happened in the history of the freaking world. Every single chick I've ever been friends with has been through much worse. So freaking just who cares, genuinely? It's just a very bad thing that happened to me that I didn't expect was going to happen to me that late in life, because every single chick I know has had things like that happen. Every single last one of them. Like, name one chick that hasn't had that happen to her. One chick. One chick. Everybody is doing this all the time, which, is not a good thing to freaking be doing with your life. I don't know how you put that thought past your mind at all, but it's a thing that guys like to do, apparently, and nobody really wants to beat them up for. In my case, I just wanted him to come over again, because who the hell else is going to be having sex with me? Like, nobody. You can't be like, okay, someone has to have sex with me today. That's just not a thing that can happen, ever. I'm not the type to be so low that I need a dating app. When I turned 18, I got every dating app that I could that was free. Every single last one of them. I even got on Christian Mingle, and in my town, there are not people on some of them. I'm not even talking about bots, there just aren't anyone. Life has just been really freaking weird lately. It's to the point where I just forget that there's, a limit to the bottle, because you got this whole freaking bottle, and then Chase is like, don't drink anymore. I'm like, I bought the liquor. No one else ever did that, so I was never in the situation where people want me to not freaking drink. They just more so would ignore me. Most of the places I've been, I usually had a book with me, and freaking last time I was sitting there bored, waiting for the Pride event to go on, waiting for the several freaking hours between the events that, for whatever reason, they want to do. And I was like, I'm drinking too much. I don't want to be drunk for hours on end, because that is very bad for me, so I don't want to freaking do that. And he's like, yeah, just get some Bombay or something. And I'm like, my prerogative was drinking closer to the event. I just wanted to have, maybe 2 or 3 shots, so I just didn't have to buy something there. You know, the event was not particularly interesting. It's not something that you have to think about. It's just drag queens. Drag queens can't really sing or dance or anything. They just go on stage and everybody cheers for them for just no reason. They just go up there and lip sync, and it's like, yeah, you burn 50 calories up there. That's amazing. I'm so proud. I'm so proud that you're a chick who thinks she's a guy and is dressing up like a chick, because every single trans guy wants to fetishize gay men for just no reason, and they all want to talk like them. And I'm sure it creeps the gay men all the way out. You're not supposed to do that. I went to an LGBT group for a decade. The same group. I was there for 2 different freaking locations of it. Same thing happens every damn year. They always want to put minors at the front of Pride. They do this freaking thing where for a good 20 minutes they're just putting minors on stage, and they're like, everybody look at the trans and gay minors. They're so wonderful. These are our future. They know who they are. Like, I don't know, maybe not all of them know who they are. Look how I turned out. Look how all the other detransitioners I know turned out. It really is a third of people that thought they were trans as minors, who most of the time are women thinking that they are men, that end up detransitioning. And why is the number so high? Why is it an entire third? And those are the ones that want to actually detransition and admit it, and admit they made a mistake, and actually live their true selves, instead of just working with all the clothes and the mannerisms and the friend group that they picked up over the years. See, the thing is, even if you ask ChatGPT why people detransition, then it's like, oh, people don't do this because they actually want to detransition. They just detransition because it's so bad being trans. And it's like, where was it ever bad? I haven't had a single time being discriminated at work because of being trans. I had a boss that was from Nigeria. Things are not always doing great for human rights in Nigeria, so you'd figure that's where that would happen, but that didn't happen there. I've never had a person that I knew discriminate against me for being trans in any way. People are just sometimes a little dismissive or not knowing very much about it, but again, that was like a decade ago. I meet drunks downtown that my friends are friends with, and sometimes we would drive around with people and they would get to know that I'm trans, and they would just be like, ha ha ha, that's hilarious, that's awesome, do whatever you want, Lamau. Sometimes some of them were a little curious about me, obviously, and that was cool. You know, at the end of the day, being asked a weird question about whether you have your period or not, that's not transphobic. Having somebody ask if you're gay or not is not transphobic. Having someone freaking ask, you know, what your name used to be before isn't transphobic either. None of these things are, and people like to act like they are so freaking much. It is so incredibly annoying, because that completely takes your existence as someone that's trans down to just being offended by stuff. And I never wanted to do that, because I spent my entire teen years just being offended by stuff because Tumblr told me to. You know, really. A depressed teenage girl goes on Tumblr and decides she's trans because the definition of trans can mean feminine trans man, which means you go from being a chick to transitioning and then still being a chick. If you're freaking old, I'm sorry, because that is so hard to even figure out what any of that even freaking means. But if you're a teenager, man, everything just hits you like water. You can believe anything anyone will tell you. Feminine trans man? Oh, I'm sure that exists. I'm sure that's completely normal. And then you meet all of them, and all of them are way more feminine than me. Why did you put testosterone in your body just to act like a chick and then freaking date? The thing is, the majority of them only date other feminine trans guys. It's lesbians with extra steps, and I don't really understand. People can be trans, but it's not as expansive as they say it is. I just don't understand why they freaking act like any of that makes any sense at all. And you meet these people and they're all mentally ill, every single last one of them. All of them. And why is that? They just keep these skewy worldviews, and that doesn't help them at all. They are just making things up about that every teenage girl should transition because it's suicide prevention, which, if you check the statistics, all of them that were suicidal before are still suicidal after, and it is so sad. It is so sad. Every year I go to Pride because I'm like, ha ha ha, I want to see the costumes. I want to see people covered in glitter and whatnot. And every year, you know, the first thing you see where the event is, you see a depressed teenage girl with a fluffy haircut and just the absolute most gashes you could ever imagine all over her legs. I was in Japan for a month. You don't see a single thing of that. You can look at 1 million people in Japan. None of them are gashed like that. People actually care about their kids there or something. It's weird. They actually care what their teenage girls are doing. You know, attracting decent men instead of hanging around like the worst possible people. It doesn't make a lot of sense here. North America is just not really the place to be, but you know, I live here and this is my home, and I'm very happy I live here. You know, it's significantly more dangerous than Japan. I've been to the areas where all the prostitutes are in Japan, and it is not dangerous. A woman dropped a gold necklace in this area where all the prostitutes work. My dad watches this. A guy who was working at one of the prostitution places, he picks up her golden necklace and runs to find her and give her back her golden necklace. This is not a thing that happens in North America. Here people just turn a blind eye to that and they're like, yeah, and I am taking that home. Which is something I'm sure people say a lot in the prostitution area. But yeah, I made this eyeliner. This is a bunch of eyeliners mixed together. When I sharpen them, they all go into this thing generally. And so that's all my blues mixed together, and that's gray, black, whatever. I believe there was some mint, but yeah, you get a lot more longevity out of the eyeliners like that, and you generally get about a month of daily wear out of them. So yeah, I've been enjoying doing that a lot. I hate talking about the pride topic because, you know, it is just so depressing. And it's a never-ending freaking thing, and then people accuse you of being transphobic, and it's like, no, I was kind of the biggest voice for the trans community for a very long time. I can't count, even on both hands, the amount of people that have told me that I changed their mind about people being trans and how they're not all completely nuts. And the weirdest freaking thing is that I turned out to not even be trans. There is nothing that is so trans about me. The thing is, they will transition you if you have not had sex with a man, and let me tell you, I did that with a man I loved very much, and you know, he was quite drunk. He called me a good boy at first, like I asked, and then he accidentally called me a good girl, and I was like, okay, yeah, keep going with that, thank you. That was just I don't think anything that good has ever happened in the history of sex. I just don't think that is a thing that happens to other people. You know, a lot of chicks speak about their sexual experiences, and I have never heard that much about it being good. Women will go on and on about choosing to have sex with men who won't do anything because they don't ask them to do anything, and then they're like, why was this experience so bad? And it's like, I don't know, maybe because you didn't ask him to do any of the things you like, and when he continued to not, you didn't just get out the room. Yeah, right that second I was like, okay, yeah, something has changed within me. There is an update to the terms of service. That was only my second or third time having sex with someone, and that absolute miracle happened to happen. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I really want to do an in-depth video about this stuff because a lot of it has to do with ChatGPT, because I just figured the whole time, all my years, having these urges to be very feminine and dress feminine and act feminine and literally just be a woman. Like, it's not about being feminine, but everyone wants to say it is and just not call it what it is, being a freaking woman. I mean, if you're on the autogynephilia 4chan thread and you were born female, you might just be a woman. If that's a board that you're familiar with and you happen to go on that post more than a couple times a year, you might just be a woman. If you're looking at pictures of chicks and you're not thinking, wow, this chick is really hot, I wish that was me on her, if you're just wishing that was you, I think you might just be a woman. You'll see, especially the they-them format of trans guys, just trying to justify that so much, and they're like, sexuality is infinite, queerness is infinite. First of all, what the hell is queerness? What are you even talking about? And what is infinite about it? You like women. You like men. There's nothing more infinite about that. In fact, being gay or straight or lesbian is pretty finite. Do you mean that it's infinite in the amount of partners you can have? Because I know some of them do that too, and I used to put a lot of judgment on that because I thought it was, morally wrong and whatnot. Then I actually got into relationships, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I can't just be dealing with one person. That's cool or whatever, but I don't know. I'm capable of like holding down a bunch of stuff, really. People do that every day. People live a lie, so why not just be freaking truthful about it? I just don't really understand why it's such a big deal, but it's considered such an unromantic thing, and it's like, I don't know. Did I write many men's songs, not just one? Did I make music videos, YouTube videos, and whatever else for more than one guy over the course of my lifetime? Was there ever a point where I was like, oh crap, I can only think about this one guy? I don't remember that being the case for like more than 3 or 4 days. It just doesn't happen like that. Maybe that makes me a dirty, disgusting piece of garbage, like some people would like to fricking say. But I don't think it really does. If I were to date two fricking guys, I just don't see the big fricking deal in that. It's like one extra. Every time you go to a wedding, you get to bring a plus one. There's a lot of guys on the internet that, will continue to go on and on and on about how polyamory is just a horrible freaking idea. And to be honest, I agree if there's like freaking more than 3 people involved. If there's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, you have an issue. At that point, you just have a freaking issue. Because in my mind, if I were to do that, it'd perfectly be me and my main man, and then a side hoe or two, or like an occasional side hoe. I don't really see the big deal in that. I mean, if somebody sees a big deal in that, they can just not be involved, I guess. That's the thing. But all these guys are so militant about it, and it's like, I don't know, maybe you could have a slightly open mind about something in your life. But I'm on a lot of Facebook groups that shame people for dating site profiles that are embarrassing and whatnot, and it's just people making fun of each other, basically. A lot of them are very militant about, you can't have an open relationship, that makes you a bad person. And it's like, well, I kind of already did. But I don't know what the hell the right answer is, because currently my boyfriend does not want me to have an open relationship. He said that like the first day that we were together, that we could definitely do that, and then change his mind on that. I'm like, okay, I guess. So I don't know, it's a challenge or whatever, and I'm gonna pass that one. But I'd rather get this off my plate while I'm young. I'm 26. I'm not getting any fucking younger. I'm not getting any better looking. I already sound like this. This facial structure is permanent. These are things that you get from transitioning that, you wanted at the time. You wanted a little permanent decision to wreck your body at the time. I'm just glad I'm not one of the ones that handled it bad. There's chicks out there whose voices hurt every time they speak. They can't sing anymore, etc. Have all these weird problems with just the way their body handles it. I came out pretty fine, so I'm just one of the lucky ones. But yeah, I just really wish some days that I freaking could commit to doing the girl voice, but it's so fucking humiliating to sound like a woman. I don't know why, it always has been. I don't want people to dismiss me and think that what I'm saying is just stupid just because I say it in a feminine tone. And some days I just want to get my voice dealt with. I thought it was all about, putting laser on your voice, but it's actually not. They pull it somehow and they stitch it like that so you sound normal, and then it goes back to normal because the stitches open up after years or something. Either way, it's kind of dumb because I could go without it, and Chase likes my voice without it anyway. I feel a lot of discomfort about it. I hate the sound of my voice some days. Because yes, it gives me the authority I always freaking wanted. And it's not really about the culture that I'm in. Nobody is pissy about women talking, or I've seen every freaking feminist video ever made in the 2010s that was about how women are always just thrown to the side in terms of every freaking discussion and treated like absolute garbage. And I was like, oh crap, I hope that never happens to me because someone thinks I am a woman. Spoiler alert, you are a woman. Freaking always was. I just don't know how they always try to convince me that I was a fucking man. I don't know why you would tell someone who's never even dated, oh yeah, just completely mark your body permanently. That's a fun and trendy thing to do. They think it's so damn cool because you're apparently being yourself if you change your body. How come all those people with full body tats want to get them removed then? How about all these people in their 40s and 50s that have like a hole here permanently because they had a lip piercing once and decided they didn't want it, took it out, and hole never closed? What about porn stars who become pastors? What about porn stars who regret it in general? Every single one of these permanent life decisions, people somehow go back on. And that tends to happen a fair bit when it's such an extreme freaking thing. I was pissed I don't have my glasses anymore, and I luckily found a pair of extra lenses from my original glasses, so I'm thinking I can dump every hour of the day I have into making a pair of glasses so that I can actually do the job my dad wants me to do properly, because I have a painting job coming up and you can't exactly be seeing only half as good as you normally see and do a painting job correctly. It's not like it's detail work or anything. We're not doing a freaking mural. It's just indoor painting like this. But it's not a thing that a person should be screwing up on. But it just sucks, I just don't have a lot of friends anymore, and that really puts me on edge. I have my boyfriend and then two friends. One of them who I just can't really talk to. She's not the type that wants to listen. If it's not about her, my other friend is literally my boyfriend's best friend. So if ever we have a freaking issue, you know whose side he's gonna be on anyway. That is it. Because my freaking ex won't talk to me anymore. I lost a lot of respect for him anyway. And he knows how much I value people talking to me. And he does too, but apparently I'm just not important enough. I'm just no longer good enough. He's got to be wasted out of his damn mind to talk to me, apparently. Because last time he was texting me, he was really drunk and he's like, I forgot you were cool. And I'm like, I've been cool. What are you even talking about? What are you talking about? And I honestly just didn't frickin' care as much as I would have previously. You don't really mean a lot to me if you don't really stay in my life, if you don't talk to me ever. If you have wronged me, seriously, a lot of times, and you refuse to talk to me, then it's like, okay, you're just using me at this point. I'm on edge every frickin' day because for the first time in years, I don't really have a friend group. There's nobody else I can fricking talk to. Certain people in the group used to be pretty cool that I could have, nice conversations with, and then all of a sudden they're weird and freaking aggressive now for just no reason because all of them are drunk or high or whatever, and they just end up being, worse off because they just can't handle cutting down or whatever. I'm gonna freaking do on Canada Day because it's not gigantically interesting. You see everybody you already knew already that already lives in your house and people that you hang out with several times a week. Like, nothing new is going on. That's the theme in my life for the last couple of months, is that absolutely nothing new is going on. The party house we always used to go to is no longer there because, they got kicked out. You don't say it right, but that's just how things happen, and that's the thing we have to deal with because, laws and stuff. People don't want to hear screaming and puking and sex being had in whatever room, and people don't want that in their complex. If I really had 5 wishes, to have more friends, and if my voice didn't sound so screwed up all the time, and if there was just more things going on in my life, like more interesting things, if we can just meet more people and I don't even care that much about going places. I really don't. Like a freaking bus trip across town is enough, but I hang out with nobody now. It's such a small group of people, and everybody's freaking always drunk and having the same issues with the same people, and we have to listen to it all the time, and that's the only thing going on ever. There's nothing freaking else going on. It's not like, wow, there's a dog, or something even simple like that. Like, we don't even get that anymore. I'm not even a huge fan of dogs. They just kind of exist, and it's like, yeah, well, that thing is there, and it's barking, and it just bit somebody's book. I'd like to cut down on the drinking with just freaking getting high, but I get really paranoid when I get high, and then freaking everybody's just gonna laugh at me because, I thought there were bats in my house one time, and I thought this guy was just gonna come in my house and freaking, threaten me and touch me. He doesn't live anywhere near me. He's probably not even gonna do that anyway because he didn't have a reason to when he threatened me before. There's nothing fucking going on at any point in time. It's just, we just get to sit around every day. You can go downtown anytime you want and meet people, but they're always drunks and they're always going to fight with each other. And you can go other places and probably meet people, but it costs money and they're freaking boring people. Like, I'm not paying $30 freaking dollars to go to some painting event just to meet a bunch of 30-year-olds with freaking children that just sit around all day and go, oh my gosh, I don't want to work today. You guys know how I don't want to work today? Isn't that like really funny? Are you laughing? Are you laughing yet? Am I really funny? It's just the exact same life, copied and pasted over and over. Like, none of these people have done anything with their lives aside from just what people told them to. They just get up in the morning, they're like, yep, I guess I'll do that exact same thing that I signed up for when I was in high school. And then they freaking go back home and it's like, yeah, I guess I'll just sit there and watch TV. And I don't want any part of that. I'd literally rather go to a freaking crack house and hang out with people like that than freaking really extremely boring people every day. I don't want my life to consist of that. I want my life to consist of interesting people that do really just weird crap, even if it's really seriously loser crap. Like I legit don't freaking care. All across my whole life, it's like, yeah, well, what would we even talk about? How do I even talk to you? That is 90% of the time what I'm freaking thinking when, I just have to be faced with such just run of the freaking mill people. Everything is pissing me off lately because, I get home from being in the park with my boyfriend, and then my mom's like, oh, great news, we went garage sailing and I bought this entertainment thing. Now you can spend all week organizing your stuff and we can clear everything out and put this in there. And I'm like, I like the setup I have now. All of a sudden I have to take my TV off of the piece of wood from the freaking yard, which worked for a million freaking years. I'm just sick of this. And then she just went through my freaking stuff while I was gone for a couple hours. Some days I just wish that I didn't find renting so humiliating, because then I could just rent. I could just not live here. And I could go wherever I want. And I can leave the house at whatever time I want and come back home without somebody asking me questions when I come in the door. Sometimes I just want to come in the house because I'm tired. But I'm seriously falling so freaking behind on getting rid of stuff as well, because I was supposed to do 100 bags this year. It is nowhere near 100 bags. I've gotten rid of 20, which is not even as much as I did last year. I mean, yeah, we're halfway through the year, but I can freaking do better than this. If I have a goal, I can try to freaking reach it. It's just I have no time. When people are over, I can't just be getting rid of stuff. It is helpful that Chase wants to freaking, help me with that stuff, but, two people making decisions on what to get rid of, that is not a thing that actually happens. Like, we don't live together. None of this is his stuff. He can't really decide what to get rid of for me. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. My mom's been trying to do that for forever, and she just wants to man the entire operation. And it's like, well, I don't know why you yelling at me about what the hell I'm supposed to get rid of. I don't really understand how that's supposed to freaking work. There's not a lot of things that will help by involving other people except for just me having more friends. I just really wish this could have been a live stream because I would have been in a lot better of a mood. I like talking to people. Talking to people calms me down and they remember other things I've done, so it's not like this is a completely standalone video. I literally can't make a video without thinking every second I say something bad about myself that someone's going to come and freaking make me feel like this is the entirety of what my life is done with, and connect all the freaking dots and tell me how much of a freaking loser I am and how I've failed in life. I have not accomplished a lot. Anyone who speaks the words that I do could figure that the hell out. This is not a thing that people are surprised by. That is not helpful when I'm trying to actually get stuff done. We seriously need to over frickin' throw the entire North American culture, because, the people that lived there originally used to be pretty damn happy. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, has anyone ever looked at that? The guy that made this fricking was chilling with the native tribes. I don't fricking remember where, but somewhere. And he was saying that they have all their needs met, and that the white people were clearly not as frickin' happy. They didn't have all the hierarchy of needs. They just had some of them. And it's not because they were on drugs, It's because they used the drugs responsibly. And it's because they prioritize things that actually make sense to prioritize. Things like a coming of age, ritual and whatever. There's so many rituals, and they were actually trying to help people through stuff, not just tear them down every second. That's why I don't freaking like talking about people as if they're complete write-offs. It's just destructive, and it kills a part of you to even speak about people like that. I mean, yeah, it probably feels pretty powerful when they've done really awful stuff to you, but at the end of the day, the worst freaking things have been done to me. It's just like bits and pieces of stuff. It's like, oh yeah, if that all happened in a day, yeah, you seriously would be wanting to hurt somebody. But, if things like this just happen every so often, it's completely handleable. I just don't want to treat people like they're write-offs and they don't deserve to live or whatever. Like, some people are complete leeches on society and will probably have started out that way and will probably just end that way. But it doesn't help people to live when you treat them like they are completely worthless. So I just don't like to do that. Even my ex, freaking either one of them. The first one, I just never wanted to speak to her again. I still don't. I wished I would never see her again. And guess who I had to freaking see when I go downtown drinking with my friend? It was the second day I was back from Japan. She lost a bunch of weight, but she's on the freaking drugs again, clearly, and hanging out with all these homeless people. And she was so overjoyed to be hanging out with all these homeless people. And it's like, yeah, I came from far away, and these are the people that you're with, so you're becoming a bit of a traveler. I did not want to ever see her again. Never. I still don't. I just don't want to ever have to think about what any interaction with me and her should be because she treated me so damn awful. I mean, I don't want to speak to someone who calls me an asshole every day. I don't think that's a polite thing to do to myself. Even my ex after her didn't treat me that bad. He was actually pleasant to be around. He didn't insult me every day, so I was like, this is the best thing that I've ever had, and I'm really happy. And that was what I had. I was so overjoyed. I do feel like he did a lot for me at one point in time. Absolutely did a lot for him. I mean, nobody else wanted him over, and there were lots of reasons for that. Sometimes I like to continue to talk to people that I've known for the better part of a year. It's not that damn hard to figure out. You know, it's just nice to know people who have known the exact same people that you've known without you having to explain every story for just hours on end a day. I don't want to live like that, freaking having to introduce every part of my life to every human being I've just met. And you can tell even in the way that I speak about interactions with people that it's very woman coded. So I don't know who never picked that out, that I was just supposed to be a chick, but yeah, that's really dumb and unfortunate that I had to transition for so freaking long. Maybe it's good that I've nerfed myself, that I don't think I'm that good looking and I don't think I sound that good. Because maybe that makes the world a better place. I've never been a stranger to the scarcity mindset, never at all. For the last 13 years or so, I've thought that freaking people just didn't want to stick around me, that I wasn't good enough for them to be friends with because they just thought the jokes that I made were too stupid or whatever, or I just make some disgusting sort of joke. That was what I went through in middle school. I freaking had two friends. One of them wasn't very close, and the other one I knew for all these years, and she just didn't want to be friends with me anymore. I have to continue on and on getting back into this mindset again because I've dwindled down to two freaking friends. This is not a normal way to feel. People are supposed to have a lot more friends than that. That is not normal. I don't freaking care, really. I will put myself in any position pretty much to just genuinely be hanging out with people and talking to people. I want to share my experiences, and if I freaking make something or whatever, because obviously I make a lot of the stuff that I have. This deodorant I made myself, it's cottonwood, lotion, baking soda, this and that, and then this is also pretty much the same thing, but it's water instead of a coconut oil base, and the jelly form is really the one that I like the best, and that's that one. I finally did the mixture correctly. I screwed up every freaking year, but this is the one time it actually turned out right. I didn't even burn it. And then, you know, obviously all this, I pressed this palette myself. This one's getting low, but I have a lot more of that. I'm just going to have to do more DIY videos. And I already have so much footage from the Japan trip and then editing it. Because there's nobody pissing themselves about seeing this done, really. It's Chase that's excited for it. You know, there's not like an audience crowding around for me. I'll keep the channel going. I just need a lot more time to myself. I don't like to edit while people are in the room. It's just very rude. Why am I bringing people over just to sit there? That's not normal. Like, I'm not running a fucking internet cafe. This isn't, you know, one of those Japanese manga cafes where, you know, you just pay $30 to sleep there and shower there and have food there and, you know, use the internet and read books for 8 hours in what suspiciously looks like a bedroom. I really wish I went to one of those when I went to Japan, but when I do it again, I definitely will visit that. Some days I would have just freaking killed to just be sleeping on my freaking own so I don't have to deal with my parents being all pissed off about random crap and waking up all pissed off and whatever. You know, having a bath at 4 freaking a.m. It's just not normal. I'm trying to have vacation here, but you know, whatever. I should go and deal with some stuff. Goodbye, animals. Squeak, squeak.